Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sycous webinar, Understanding How Energy Monitoring Can Help Demonstrate and Achieve ESG Targets. My name is Luke Chambers, and I work within the commercial team here at Sycous. Today, we're going to be providing a breakdown for organisations navigating these new ESG requirements, and we're also going to introduce how IoT technology can be used effectively across large property estates. We will be hearing from my colleagues Odessa and Lloyd shortly. Odessa is a business development manager here at Sycous and supports our clients with metering, billing and data visualization solutions. Lloyd works within the Sycous data and product team, supporting clients with a variety of metering, data collection and software solutions. At the end of the session, we're going to have a short Q&A. So if during the session you've got any questions, please pop them into the Q&A box. I'm now going to hand over to Odessa. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Odessa. As Luke said, I'm a business development manager at Sycous. And one of the most popular inquiries we're facing at the moment is everything to do about regulation. So today we're focusing on the Environmental, Social and Governance Report, or the ESG regulations. So we're looking at what this means for you and how we can help. So I think it's firstly important to look at what the ESG regulations are. ESG regulations vary by country and it's not a new concept to most. So anyone who completes the report will be considering their impact on environmental, social and governance values. The biggest change to the regulation is who is taking part. The new rules means reporting is now mandatory for all private UK companies and limited liability partnerships with more than 500 employees and a turnover greater than 500 million. So along with all publicly quoted UK companies. The ESG regulations will also impact the financial services sector, investment funds, insurance-based investment products, private and occupational pensions, individual portfolio management, and both insurance and investment advisors. Through the Climate Change Act, the UK government has set a target to significantly reduce UK greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And this also includes reducing the energy consumption in commercial and industrial buildings in England and Wales by 2030, using measures including regulation and a performance-based measurement scheme. One way to achieve this is by setting a minimum energy efficiency standard of EPC Band B by 2030 for privately rented commercial buildings in England and Wales. The Act also established the Committee on Climate Change to ensure that emission targets are evidence-based and independently assessed. The Climate Change Act has committed the UK government by law to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least 100% of the 1990 levels compared to the 2050 levels. And a key way to achieve this is to ensure everyone takes accountability for their climate impact. An ESG report ensures businesses are considering their impact whilst also creating a measurable action plan to improve. So the new ESG rules means businesses who need to comply will provide a report covering three components. So firstly, the environmental issues, where businesses will review their environmental impact. So this includes energy usage, energy efficiency, carbon emissions, pollution and waste management. The social aspect of the report surrounds the consideration of people and relationships, which include safe working environments, equality and diversity, employment engagement and more. Finally, the governance section covers the standards of running a company. This looks to report on auditing, political contributions and whistleblower schemes. So although we may all have a good understanding of our personal current concerns surrounding climate change and the changes we can make on a day-to-day basis, the changes to ESG promotes the climate change awareness throughout businesses and financial investors. So the impact of the climate is a third of the ESG report, which will allow businesses and investors to highlight their action points to reduce their impact to climate change. The key concepts for the environmental section focus on energy usage and how companies and businesses can improve their efficiencies or reduce their overall usage. This can't be achieved without first understanding the current consumption, which will need to be monitored. As a first step, installing meters for heat usage, water usage and electricity usage will allow businesses to gain a better understanding of their current use. And by utilising bulk meters monitoring the whole building and individual meters monitoring individual spaces, businesses can begin to understand their efficiencies. And the data drawn from these meters will allow you to set measurable action points within an ESG report, which can be reviewed and improved each year. So how can Sycous help? Sycous have been actively supporting businesses and investors for some time regarding the ESG reporting. And one area where Sycous support is the environmental section, where energy usage and efficiencies play a key part. For many commercial properties, individual units within are not individually metered. So although the total usage of energy for the building is known, it's not known how much each individual unit within the commercial property is using. And without this information, actions can't be implemented to reduce energy usage and improve energy efficiencies. Both are required for the ESG report. So to change this, Sycous begin by surveying the site. We understand where meters are required to monitor individual units before supplying and installing the equipment. It's also important to be able to remotely see this data at any time, which allows businesses and investors to make informed decisions from the data. One option for this is the metering and billing platform MapDeck, which is designed by Sycous. This allows you to remotely view the site data. You can generate reports to show meter readings, consumption, active meters, missing meter reads, and more. And you can also set parameters of meter validations on MapDeck, which will highlight high consumers and low consumers, which allows for a measurable action within the ESG report. And we also work alongside third-party energy efficiency providers to support with additional data. So along with installation of metering and monitoring equipment across sites, we understand that consumers play a key part in energy usage, and Sycous have invested in our resources so consumers can reduce their energy usage where possible. For instance, our My Sycous website is designed for consumers where they can find a range of frequently asked questions, blog posts, and videos to support with their understanding of heat networks, their equipment, and how to use their energy more efficiently. We also have videos on our website and YouTube, and all resources are accessible by utilising the Recite Me overlay. Whether this is for an office space or a home, we know that if consumers are using their energy efficiently, then the overall energy usage will be reduced. This allows you again to make a measurable target within the ESG report, and Sycous can support you with this. Before these changes, many companies may have been taking part in ESG reporting by their own choice, such as Sycous. We have changed our company legal documents already so that the company already has a legal requirement to ensure social and environmental impacts are considered alongside commercial gain in all decision making. We're considering waste reduction, price sustainability, money saving for consumers, energy use, vehicle use, and benefits for the Sycous team. And alongside this, we're working towards our B Corp accreditation. Sycous have always actively participated and understood the importance of impact reporting. I'll pass you over to Lloyd, who's going to talk about LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN has such a variety of possible uses, which allows for a future-proofed and sustainable solution. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Lloyd. I'm a member of the Product and Data Support team here at Sycous. Today, I'll be talking through a few of the solutions Sycous can provide using IoT systems. A key part of the new ESG regulations is having a consistent and reliable network in place to collect your data. So what's the best way to collect this data? In recent years, there's been expansions in metering technologies, and the point of interest today is LPWAN networks. LPWAN standing for Low Power Wide Area Networks. These networks enable a larger range and greater penetrative ability compared to existing radio systems. LoRaWAN is one of these LPWAN radio systems, specifically with a license-free protocol, avoiding any additional charges other LPWAN networks may provide. LoRaWAN has been around for nearly 10 years, but in the last 2 years has started making more headway in the metering and billing market. This growth can be seen most notably at the recent LoRaWAN World Expo held in Paris this year. To get a better understanding of the LoRaWAN network, we have the following graph. I'll quickly give it a breakdown of each part of this graph to make it easily understandable. We start with the devices. These devices connect to the gateway installed around your site. The devices connect to the gateway using the LoRa radio technology. This system is universal across Europe, but does have different frequencies for different continents across the world. The meters can connect to various gateways across the site, with smaller sites being covered entirely by a single gateway, avoiding the requirement for additional repeater equipment. The gateways then connect to a network server, either through an installed ADSL line or through a mobile SIM. These network servers are centralized systems. Other LPWAN systems charge for the use of these networks, but LoRaWAN doesn't have these additional charges. These network servers will route the data to an application server, storing all of the reads and making them accessible on an application of your choice. This is all configured pre-installation, so the system is as simple as installing the devices and the gateway. The data can be sent to specific application servers, different application servers, and an example of this would be if you had a site owned by two separate companies. You'd only need one network as long as each company had an application and the meters on the application so they can get only their readings. To ensure that information is protected and in line with data protection standards, there are two layers of security. These two layers of security come through session keys. These session keys are provided by the manufacturers of the device, only to the purchasing party. The network key protects the data from the devices to the gateway. This ensures the gateway, which is not part of your system, cannot get the data from the devices without the session key. The application key protects the data from the network to the application server. You can only access the data on your application if you have the correct application key. Going back to the example of one site being owned by two companies, they would not be able to get each other's data as they did not have the correct application key. Now, I've mentioned these applications. What are the applications? Some examples of these applications would be Element IoT, Switzer Cloud / Holybird, and our in-house application, MabDeck. These applications can be used to decrypt the data from the meters, send commands to the meters, and display readings and connections. These applications can also do on-demand requests for reads from individual or bulk meters, send commands back to the meters or any other installed device. All of this information can then be downloaded from the applications in an easily readable format. These application servers can also be set up with email and text systems, informing you when information has not been received or items are having faults. And then you can download these error reports, which have details of what could be causing the error, reducing the levels of investigations that's required. The data collected from the LoRaWAN systems can provide detailed insight to the building's environmental performance. What's important is that this insight is then actionable. This can be achieved by working with IQ Nexus, part of the Bunata Minol Sena group. Using IQ Nexus technologies, we can not only visualize and monitor LoRaWAN devices, but this data can be converted to BACnet or Modbus communications. This conversion enables it to be able to include in the control strategy of an existing building management system. This helps improve the sustainability of buildings and the performance, not only measuring, but actioning and creating more sustainable, healthy, and safer buildings to live and work. So how does a LoRaWAN system compare to more common systems in terms of costs? Well, the first point would be meters used. Although older meters do not have LoRaWAN capabilities, there are various modules which can be used to retrofit these. It's not available for all meter brands currently. There's also a low reliance on repeaters, thanks to the greater range and penetrability of LoRaWAN systems. The repeaters may be required on larger sites, presuming that the gateway is in a centralized location. Furthermore, LoRaWAN systems are not limited to just metering systems. LoRaWAN can be expanded upon in various different ways. There are various different additional sensors which can be added to LoRaWAN systems and can be used to have a centralized system for the site management. Being able to have all your sensors through the same gateway and the same application, again, minimizing the amount of equipment which is required. And also, you can get instantaneous reads and changes. I'll go through a few practical examples of how a LoRaWAN system can be implemented. To start off with, we'll give an example of an office. The gateway will be placed in the plant room alongside the metering equipment. However, across the office, there are various additional devices. The presence sensor can be placed at desks and meeting rooms, helping for hot desking and meeting room availability. An indoor climate monitoring device can detect the room temperature and humidity, changing aircon systems to ensure a stable environment. Door and window sensors can be added to the system, enabling both security, but also helping with health and safety regulations. Another example of an implemented LoRaWAN system being a shopping centre. The gateway can once again be placed in the plant room with the metering equipment, similar to the office. A people counting system can be placed at the entrance to the shopping centre, counting the flow of people in and out of the building. Parking sensors can keep track of the amount of cars parked and how many free spaces are available and where those free spaces are. Customer satisfaction buttons can be placed at the entrances to shops, helping to collect data on the services customers have received in the shop. Toilet sensors can be used to monitor, allowing you to reduce the risk of excessive water consumption from public toilets and reduce the possibility of faults, reducing system management requests. Water leakage sensors can be placed in harder to reach areas, but water heavy areas, such as behind inbuilt shop furnishings. Sometimes leaks can take weeks before being noticed. This can cost you vast amounts of money. And these water leak sensors can send an email immediately or a text to your building supervisor upon sensing a leak, reducing damages and water waste. Thank you for your time. I'll be passing back to Luke, who'll be going through any questions you may have.
Thank you, Lloyd. That was great. It was great to hear how LoRaWAN can be used to meet some of the ESG targets. So yeah, thank you very much. So now we've heard from both Odessa and Lloyd. I think yeah, we'll move on to some questions that we've had put into the box. So the first one here: does this work for industrial buildings? Lloyd, do you want to pick that one?
Yeah, sure. Well, this can work on any type of building. As shown in the slides demonstrating like the office building and the shopping centre, this can be adapted to whatever building you're wanting. It can include as many or as few devices as you want. It can really be tailored to exactly what you want.
Great. And we'll move on to the next one. Is it possible to get dashboards from the data? Odessa, do you want to pick up on that in terms of the visualization?
Yeah, of course. So all of the dashboards are available on all of the software that Lloyd has discussed already. So each of those software, such as SwitchCloud or MabDeck, will all have a dashboard and all have the ability as well to be rebranded or white labeled. So that's for on-site maintenance or O&M providers. So it will be branded however you need it.
Excellent. We'll move on to the next one. Actually, I really like this question. What are the benefits of IoT networks over a traditional building control system? Lloyd, do you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, sure. I guess with a traditional building control system, it's often wired, designed about maintaining building assets. The benefit of an IoT system is their adaptability, and they reduce the amount of ongoing costs. For example, your ability to retrofit wireless sensors, you can replace the batteries without needing for expensive cabling and all the setup that's required.
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks for that, Lloyd. Odessa, I think this is a question for you, being the billing expert we have. If I put meters in my building, can I use these for billing purposes as well as ESG purposes?
Yeah, absolutely. So the data that is being brought back for ESG is also the relevant data for billing. So using a billing platform such as MabDeck, you can bring back the data that's needed for ESG, but also have that data there available to move it straight to billing as well. So yeah, definitely these meters are both for billing and monitoring purposes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think the idea is having everything in one system, isn't it? And not having multiple systems for different uses. So that's great. I think we've got time, so we'll answer the last two questions as well. So what targets do you advise setting around your portfolio's energy usage? Odessa, do you want to pick that one? Yeah,
it's really hard to set targets or standardized targets across different portfolios, because it definitely depends on the size of building or the type of building or the usage of the building. I think the ESG regulations are about understanding what you currently use and how you can reduce or improve your climate impact or your environmental impact. So although there's not anything standardized, it's based on monitoring what you're currently doing and then trying to improve that. There's some standardized measurements for building and energy performance, but it's important to make sure it's relevant to improving your current usage.
Great, thanks. And on to the last one, which I think touches onto the maintenance of these systems as well, which is something that we've not touched on. What is the average lifetime of an IoT meter and sensor? Lloyd, do you want to answer that?
Well, like most of these sensors are battery operated, so the batteries are often replaceable, so you can replace them. Most of them do have a long lifestyle. It does depend, obviously, on the size of the battery that's installed, how frequently you connect into it, how much data you want to come from it. It can range from like 2 to 5 years, depending on what item it is. For the heat and water meters, though, they can be mains powered, or they can still be battery powered, normally operating for like 5 to 10 years. It depends on how much data you're wanting from and how often you want reporting to come through.
Great, excellent. Well, thank you for that. That's all the questions answered in the session. If no one's got any other questions, we really hope you've enjoyed the webinar and found it useful. And of course, if you've got any further questions or you'd like any advice, please do contact us and we would be more than happy to help. So I think we'll call that an end to the webinar, and thanks everyone and enjoy your afternoon. Thank you.